let's talk about the Houston Astros victory in the AL West, thanks to a team that plays up the road in South Oklahoma. We're talking about the Texas Rangers. Another episode of Rangers Watch.
In the eyes of a ranger, the unsuspecting stranger had better know the truth of wrong from right. 'Cause the eyes of the ranger are upon you. Any wrong you do, he's gonna see. When you're in Texas, look behind you. 'Cause that's where the ranger's gonna be.
Walker told me I had AIDS.
So there's a lot of controversy that probably doesn't need to be a controversy about the way that the Rangers celebrated after clinching a playoff spot on Saturday. They did not clinch the division. Here is Rangers manager Bruce Bochy giving a little speech to the guys.
Oh, here we go. I know we got some work to do, but you celebrate big victories, and this is a huge one. We started in spring training. We're heading to the postseason. Enjoy, savor that. Got a little more work to do. We're going to celebrate, though. Congrats on going to postseason, everybody. Here we go.
I mean, they partied. And what's funny is you don't know what's actually going on when a team clinches. Remember when we thought that the Orioles were getting absolutely sloshed when they celebrated getting clinched? I talked to my guy, Kevin Brown, broadcaster for the Baltimore Orioles, and he said, yeah, I did more drinking than the actual Orioles did, as did John Angelos. It wasn't a lot that the Orioles were doing. So honestly, who knows what actually happened after that? But Brian McTaggart, Astros writer for MLB.com, decided to tweet out something that has made it seem like the Rangers partying was the reason that they lost 1-0 to the Mariners on Sunday, thereby giving the Astros the AL West. He tweeted this: the Rangers partied last night while the Astros had a champagne toast and quickly turned their attention to Sunday and one more win. That's true. See Martin Maldonado give the toast? There were some claps. No hooting, no hollering. Houston's been there, done that mentality, paid off, it seems. And Rangers reporters, Rangers talking heads are pissed because of this. I was in the clubhouse. I know what happened, wrote Evan P. Grant. They sprayed champagne for 15 minutes at 8 p.m. That's a long time, though, 15 minutes, when you think about it.
It's a lot of champagne they're spraying.
Right. I mean, when the Astros won the World Series, the champagne spring also was going on for 15 to 20 minutes when I was in the clubhouse. Now, I did leave the clubhouse eventually, but 15 minutes is a long time if you're talking about spraying champagne. It's just wrong to suggest this was like a typical championship celebration. But damned if you do, damned if you don't. Players can't win. Damn shame.
No, I do disagree. Players can win, like the Astros did on the last day of the season to clinch the AL West.
Correct.
You can win. It is possible to win.
There was a lot of this year. I really do think there was some premature feeling yourself by both Texas, the Letterman jacket thing, and with the Mariners, the Run DMC outfits. The Mariners are 12-17 since they put those on before going to that series against New York. The Rangers are 18-21 since they're by way of Dallas collaborative Letterman jackets. Like, both of these teams are sub 500 there. I think they were both feeling themselves. And you know what? I get it. But it is a marathon, not a sprint. Tortoise beats the hare because the hare's a cocky son of a bitch. So to see all of the crying by people who cover the Rangers has been great. John Moore, who is at the Recliner Nerd, says, this is why nobody likes the Astros. They didn't even win the West. Rangers lost it to a really good team. Astros didn't earn the AL West. They weren't the best team. In fact, they were the third best team. Had to have another team win it for them. Oh, man, that is just so salty. Do you know how winning works?
Luckily, they keep track of all the wins and losses for the entire season.
Yes.
And that's how they hand out who wins the division.
Sir, John, at the Recliner Nerd. Sir, This is the most loser tweet I've ever seen. Oh, they didn't even win the West. No, they did. They won the West. Like, this is how it works. And it's because the Rangers puked it away. And you could say that the Rangers gave it to the Astros. A gift we gladly accept. But you did give it away. Also, it wasn't just Bruce Bochy giving that speech that people are laughing at. I guess the Rangers broadcast was complaining about the players that the Diamondbacks were putting on the field in yesterday's season finale, which the Astros, of course, won 8-1. Here is that call.
You want to see Christian Walker and Corbin Carroll in the lineup today for Arizona?
Look, if you are a Diamondbacks fan or in any way invested with Arizona, no, you don't.
Yeah.
That said, and I don't know how many managers would feel this way if they were in that spot, that they have a duty, a competitive duty, because the opponent, I mean, there are really big implications with Houston winning that game.
I really love how whiny that broadcast gets. And we're going to miss him in the postseason. It's one of the unfortunate parts about the playoffs is now we get the national broadcast, and the national broadcasts, in their defense, it's hard, but they just do not have the same pulse on these teams that the local guys do when they're doing it on a daily basis. And the emotion, the sadness, the despair when those teams lose, we're not going to be able to get high off of it.
No, we'll just have grumpy John Smoltz. That's what we'll have.
Yeah.
Being like, back in my day, you threw 110 pitches.
Yeah, and Dodger Joe Davis, too. Ugh. Although he had some nice calls in the World Series. We will give him credit. I did take a look at this game to see if the Mariners did sub some of their players out. And they did in the top of the seventh. So, again, Seattle won that game 1-0. You can't really bitch and moan about who the Diamondbacks are playing when you're down 1 run. You literally just needed 1 run. That's it. And Seattle, they won. They deserve credit for that victory. But I have no idea who any of the guys are that they came and brought out of the bullpen either. Baroa, Thornton, Campbell. I have no idea who they are. You couldn't score a run off of them. But this is the Texas team that outscored everyone in baseball this year. This is the team that handed the Astros the division. The Astros didn't win it. Thanks for handing it to us.
Yeah, they actually finished with the same amount of wins and losses. It's just the tiebreaker goes to the team that like wins more head to head.
Right. And the Astros
kind of beat them like a ridden mule last season. So
yes. What was the final score of the last series? 57-2. I think it was 39. Whatever the case. It was a football score. It's time for another episode of Mariners Watch, guys.
Mariners Watch.
They had a few things go their way today. We did not. It'll probably flip when we go to Seattle. I do know how hard it is to win on the road, and it'll be very hard for them to win in Seattle.
2023.
3-2 pitch. In the air, deep left center field, hit well. Rodriguez on the run, and it is gone! Oh, Jeremy Pena sends one to the seats, and the Astros lead 1-0 in the 18th inning.
October 2nd, 2023.
Why did the Astros have to put that tweet out? Why did they have to put out? Who loves to see it? Why did they do that? Why did they do it? I'm gonna kill myself again. Pass me the Fenny. There you go. That's the end of the Mariners season.
Wow, did you prepare that?
No, I just improv that.
Yeah.
That was sarcastic. Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't think you wrote down.
I did actually. I think a lot of Astros fans are maybe as happy that the Mariners are just completely out as they are that the Astros clinched the playoffs. I think everyone's most happy that the Astros won the AL West. But second thing on your docket of things to be happy about today, because the Texans probably aren't towards the top, even though they should be. Number 2 is probably that the Mariners are donezo.
I think that the way that the AL West and the wild card shook out, I think literally is the ideal way for Astros fans.
Totally.
Because like the it really just depends. You want the Rangers 100% out or the Mariners 100% out? I think it's funnier that the Mariners are just out.
They're just completely out.
Because they haven't made they have made the playoffs once in the last 25 years.
Sean, they thought this was going to be their greatest season ever.
Yes.
And in a playoffs that has 6 teams make it, they couldn't even effing make it.
And the whole fact that like last year they're the ones that were like I mean I can guarantee you that on Seattle Mariners fans were saying that, well, you know, the Astros are kind of on the way down. We're on the way up.
They said
the division is going to be ours, and then they finished 3rd in the division and out in the playoffs.
They said that right after they went down. Like getting swept was a moral victory.
Yeah.
And they are going through it right now. And look, I understand. But hey, they helped the Astros out.
You do love to see it.
I love to see it. And people are like, oh, Paul, were you rooting for the Mariners? No, I actually was just rooting for them to help the Astros out.
# see us cry.
Boom. Roasted.
Roasted. You had to know their little team hashtag to get that one.
Because online it's see us rise. They might have to change it because the Astros have been bullying them with
they literally fell. They didn't rise. They fell in the standings.
They are a place back of where they were last year. They have less wins than they had last year. Sean, and they also are in the midst of what seems to be a coup. So you might not have paid attention to this. The only reason I know about it is because I'm on that group chat with a bunch of people I used to work with in Seattle. So I come to find out that after the Rangers beat the Mariners on Saturday, that the Mariners don't like their ownership. And it's very clear they don't like their ownership because they don't think that they're spending enough money. This is catcher Cal Raleigh, who is nicknamed Big Dumper, after the game being honest.
I think we've done a great job of growing some players here and within the farm system, but sometimes you have to go out and you have to buy, and that's just the name of the game. And we'll see what happens this offseason. Hopefully, we can add some players and become a better team. You look over in the other locker room right there; they've added more than anybody else, and you saw where it got them this year. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, that's for sure. But going out and getting those big names, people who have done it, people who have been there, people who are leaders, people who have shown time and time again that they can be successful in this league is definitely going to, would help this clubhouse, would help this team, maybe help those little things, that we need.
Not going to lie, I got a little triggered by him saying there are more than one ways to skin a cat. Cal Raleigh, top of the list, Astros enemies of the state. But if you listen to the totality of that quote right there from Cal Raleigh, he basically is saying we need to be aggressive this offseason. And there are many who didn't think the Mariners were aggressive enough this offseason as far as adding talent. So, okay, this is all water under the bridge, right? It's just a player in the heat of the moment. Well, before yesterday's game, which again, the Mariners won somehow, it's very obvious that the Mariners forced Cal Raleigh to sit at a dugout and to give this statement, after which he answered and took no questions.
Good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, yesterday was a really emotional day, and for everybody, I just want to apologize, to my teammates, my coaches, the fans. It wasn't a time to talk about what ifs in that scenario. That being said, I'm not going to apologize for wanting to win and wanting to bring a World Series to the city. They deserve it. The fans do, and this organization does. And I'm committed to doing that.
He went further, rambling, and then that was it. The PR guys whisked him away. So they basically made him apologize for what he said. And here's what makes it even more of a mess. Scott Service, manager of the Mariners, basically said, well, let's chalk this up to a moment of emotion by Cal Raleigh. Here is Service comparing Raleigh inadvertently to the time when Jared Kelenic kicked a Gatorade cooler and broke his foot, and to George Kirby whining about being left in the game too long.
Cal is he has an opportunity to be a big-time leader for us, not just on the field, but in the clubhouse as well. And part of being a leader is, understanding where you're at, being able to control your emotions at those times. And it's happened to a few of our young players this year. A situation with George earlier, and I think those are growing pains. You understand, but understand too that your words are powerful. You do have a voice, and we listen to our players. I know I always do. So, again, understand the frustration. Cal was the first guy in this morning and in my office, and you talk through it on where he's at. There's just, sometimes there's a better way to go about those things, I guess.
Imagine making him talk through that. He's right. He's actually right. He's a young. That whole clubhouse is frustrated with that. And here's the kicker. So they make Service, the Mariners made Cal Raleigh. It's very clear. They made him do that apology. J.P. Crawford, Mariners shortstop, said he didn't need to apologize and that he feels the same way as Cal Raleigh. But he's a veteran. He's not a young player. So I'm really curious as to what happens next for this Mariners organization. As someone who, of course, used to cover the team, I like the players a lot. I think their management is a joke. I really do. They're very sensitive and thin-skinned. They would get very upset with very minor slights that they perceived from us, especially once football season started. Because everyone in Seattle cares about the Seahawks more than anything as a diehard fan base. And they do have some diehard Mariners fans as well. But when football season kicks off, they always are on the back burner. So they get really sensitive. And last year they were super excited because it was the first time where they actually got to take some of the spotlight away. Though the Seahawks actually were pretty good at the beginning of last year,
Geno
too.
Smith, yeah.
Right. It was a great start of the year for Geno Smith. So this organization is very thin-skinned. And one of its players correctly calling it out publicly and management reacting like that is very consistent with the way that they have responded to similar incidents over the last couple of years. There is a real divide between players and management there. And the fact that they don't spend money is a problem. And I wonder if the Mariners will be back here next year. Truly, even with the talent. I think they're going to have to make some wholesale changes. Some people in the Twitch have brought up the idea of getting rid of Scott Service. But right now, I think it's a 50-50 proposition that they will be a threat to the Astros next year, which is great. Honestly, if you're an Astros fan, you feel good about that. This is an organization that is, I think, in a fight with itself.
Yeah, as much as I don't really enjoy the managerial stylings of Scott Service and the just general demeanor of Scott Service, I do think that from what you're telling me and what Cal Raleigh's also telling us before apologizing, and what J.P. France is telling us.
Crawford.
Oh, J.P. Crawford is telling us before, I'm assuming, having to apologize today.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just everyone apologizing one after another. It sounds like the problems are above Scott Service.
I agree.
It sounds like it is ownership and maybe even general management.
Yeah, the general manager, Jerry DiPoto, who I used to have on my radio show once a week, and I always got along with him, but there seems to be a general divide.
Yeah.
And it's been bad for a couple of years, too. I mean, look up Kevin Mather, Bellevue Rotary Club breakfast.
Oh.
I mean, one of their owners literally just dumped on the whole roster on a Zoom call.
He said Julio doesn't speak good enough English, and Julio speaks
perfect
English.
Right. Anyway,